that gave us a vivid, verifiable evidence about creation. There's no spirit, there's no individual, there's no document that gave detailed step-by-step revelation about how this world was designed, apart from scriptures and inspirations from God that can be probed, verified, contested classically and scholarly. Most people and most documents that attempt to make certain claims, you find too many gaps, and so they cannot pass scholarly tests. Only the Bible can pass all the tests, whether spiritual test of inspiration or scholarly test or test of history, any test with verifiable evidences. Because most of the things said in scripture, you can go back, trace them, and find them. Only the Bible has that level of impeccability. Now, if the Bible is that impeccable as touching the facts of creation, then when the Bible is talking about the end, listen. Because the one who knows the beginning has the authority to tell you about the end. Because he knows how it began, he can also tell you how it will end. Bible scholars reveal to us that there are about 735 prophecies and predictions about the end times. And out of these prophecies and predictions, 596 of them have happened with 100% accuracy. That's about 81%. We are left with only 19% of biblical prophecies. And a bulk of this 19% is about the last days. And so what we are talking about here is something you can verify, is something that can be proven, and is something you should not take for granted. You know, I would like to begin by telling us clearly what the Master himself said concerning the end times. He said, as touching the exact time of his coming, he said, no man knows, no angel knows, no creature knows the exact time of his arrival. Matthew 24 verse 33 to 36. So this teaching we are making or bringing forth to you is not an attempt to predict the exact time of Jesus' coming, but is to prepare you because we are in the season. That's why the Bible calls it the last days. It's not the last day, it's the last days. So the whole idea is for preparation, not for curiosity to find out when exactly the Messiah is coming. It says, so likewise, when ye shall see all these signs, it says, know that it is near, even at the door. So the signs are to tell you it is near. It's not to tell you the exact time of his coming. It says, verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Verse 35. It said, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. He's trying to give you the veracity and the authority of his words. You can bank on it with your life. And in verse 36, it said, but of that day and hour, it said, knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. So only the Father knows the day and the hour of his coming. But Jesus was gracious enough to give us signs to look out for, to understand the seasons so that we can prepare in order not to be taken unawares. The disciples asked him in Acts chapter 1 from verse 5-6 when he was going to return, and he answered them in verse 7. Acts 1 verse 7. And he repeated this because he told them these things when his ministry was coming to an end, And after resurrecting, they asked him again, thinking he will give them a different answer. And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the season which the Father has put in his own power. So the exact day and hour is what he's still emphasizing. So don't kill yourself with curiosity, trying to predict the exact day and the exact hour Jesus will come. You will miss it 1,000 times. Only the Father knows. But we cannot be ignorant of the signs that defines the season, so we are adequately prepared. You know, Paul was teaching along this line, and in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 2 and verse 4 to 6, Paul began to tell us that although we don't know the exact day or the exact hour, he said, but we cannot be taken unawares. It is the word that should be taken unawares. We cannot be taken unawares. And the question is, why and how? What makes it possible for us not to be taken unawares? It's because there are signs that we read. Here's what he said. He said, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. So it's going to be a day nobody knows. It's going to be an hour nobody knows. However, from verse 4, he said, although you don't know the exact date or the exact hour, he said, but you are not supposed to be taken unawares. He said, you are not in darkness that should be overtaken, or that the day should overtake you as a thief. So the day will not surprise you, because you will be adequately prepared. So if you find any believer who is not adequately prepared, it's because he doesn't have understanding of the times. He has not read the signs of the Spirit. Look at what verse 5 and 6 says. In verse 5 he said, you are the children of light and the children of the day. He said, we are not of the night nor of darkness. Verse 6, he said, therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let's watch and be sober. Let's not sleep, but let's watch and be sober. Watching is not just prayer. Watching is the ability of reading the times, reading the signs, and then aligning yourself in preparation based on the signs that you are seeing. There are many believers who are asleep, and that is why they will be taken unawares by the cry of the coming of the bridegroom. Matthew 25 verse 5 and 6. You know, the bridegroom comes at night, and only those who are awake will be ready. Not everybody is rapturable. That's the point I'm making. He said, why the bridegroom tarried? He said, they all slumbered and slept. There are many Christians who are sleeping. When things are happening, they are looking at CNN, looking at Al Jazeera, looking at WION. They don't know what is going on. And they are darkening their understanding by just telling them things that are at the surface level. They cannot read the times. And so for a man who understands the times, when he hears of an activity, it reminds him of something much more than the activity. It's telling him about the hour of the coming of the master. In verse 6 he said, at midnight there was a cry. He said, behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out and meet him. That's when you will know that many are not prepared. The day will overtake them, the hour will overtake them, because they did not watch and pray. They did not read the signs of the end. And so tonight, as an attempt to truly begin to dig into the subject, I want us to look at the signs of the end times. I told you when I was teaching last week, I said the general reason why we are looking at the subject of the last days, or what Bible scholars call eschatology, is number one, to influence how we live. Because when you understand what is going on, it must impact your living. As you are seated here now, if they whisper to you that something is happening outside, it will change your disposition completely. You are not relaxed here now just because your hormones are relaxed. You are relaxed here now because